Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Gooners and Gloves Podcast channel. In today's video, it's going to be my thoughts and predictions for the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Kamil Szeremeta fight that's taking place on the undercard of Bivol versus Beterbiev. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is the 5th overall episode of the Gooners and Gloves Podcast and the 2nd boxing episode. I just wanted to give you guys a huge thank you for how well the Artur Beterbiev Dmitry Bivol podcast that I did is doing. That's my best performing video on the channel, and I just wanted to give you guys a huge thank you for all the support on it. It's genuinely done so well, and I'm just extremely proud to see it do so well. So thank you guys so much, and if you haven't already seen it, then please do go check it out, as of course that is the main event to this fight. However, I honestly think this is just a fight on the card that's going quite under the radar. I feel like a lot of people kind of think this fight isn't going to be that good, isn't really going to be that great, but to be honest, I actually disagree. I honestly think this could be quite a good fight, and it's actually one that I'm definitely looking forward to, and I think has the potential to be one of the better fights of the night. So I am excited for this one to watch on Saturday. Let me know if you guys are also excited for it, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy me sort of breaking it down and giving my predictions for it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first, we've got Chris Eubank Jr., whose record currently sits at 33-3 with 24 knockouts. Of course, a very solid record, and he hasn't actually fought since last year, September, so he hasn't fought in 13 months, so he definitely is going to have a little bit of ring rust, there's no doubt about that, and he's going to have to definitely contend with that. However, the fight that he did have 13 months ago was a really impressive performance against Liam Smith. Of course, about half a year before, Liam Smith shocked everybody and knocked Eubank Jr. out in the 4th round. It was, it was quite a big knockout as well, and of course, that's something that a lot of people didn't expect to happen. However, Chris Eubank Jr. came back about half a year later, trained really hard, and, he absolutely smashed it. He put on a very good performance against Liam Smith. And mind you, this is in the same arena in which he was previously knocked out in. This is where everybody's against him. Nobody believed in him. But despite that, he went in there. He got the job done. He completely picked Liam Smith apart, and ultimately he finished him off in round 10 in what I thought was just a very dominant win. So as much as he hasn't fought in a long time, he clearly showed us his quality that night. I thought he looked really sharp. Definitely the sharpest he's looked in his career. And yeah, so there's definitely going to be some ring rust there, but I do think that he'll be fine. And then you've got Kamil Szeremeta, who does have the advantage in the sense that he's been more active. He's fought a couple times since Chris Eubank Jr.'s last fight, and his last fight was actually a split draw, but for the most part, he's been winning his recent fights. Out of his last 6, he's got 5 wins and a draw, so definitely good form for Szeremeta. Not the absolute, toughest opposition. Looking at his box rec, there are some opponents in there with losing records, but still, he's got the momentum, he's winning his fights, he's getting the odd knockout. Of course, the knockouts is something that Szeremeta doesn't have on his side, as he's only got 8 knockouts out of 20, how many is that? 29 fights, and he's got 8 knockouts, so that's definitely something that he doesn't have on his side. But in terms of recent form, they're both looking fairly decent. Of course, Eubank, aside from that loss against Liam Smith, is definitely looking good in terms of form, and same for Szeremeta, apart from the draw he had, he's looking in good form. So that's kind of where they're both at heading into this. I think this is quite an important fight for both of them, and this is why I feel like it's actually going to be a lot better of a fight than people expect, just because a lot is riding on the line for both of them. Szeremeta's 34, Chris Eubank Jr. is 35. If a loss in this fight, that could very well mean the end of their careers. Surely, with a loss in this fight, they can't go for a world title again, and they've both made it clear that they still want to go for, more world titles. So I think this is just such a crucial fight for both men, and I think this is why it's going to be a lot better of a fight than what people think, just because these are two, both of them, 35 and 34 respectively, nearing the end of their careers, nothing really to lose. So I just think they're going to go for it, try and put on a statement, and ultimately start to get back into contention for world titles. So my official prediction for the fight, I have gone with Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight by TKO between rounds 9 and 12. So I think sometime between rounds 9 and 12 he's going to be able to stop Szeremeta. Now, the reason I think it's going to go on for quite late is just because, well, firstly, because Szeremeta isn't weak. Szeremeta is tough, he is durable, he is resistant, but also, obviously, as I said, Chris Eubank Jr. hasn't fought in 13 months, so he's going to want to get those rounds in. That's typically what you want when you're returning from such a long layoff. As much as first and second round knockouts are nice, it's also good in your first fight back to get some rounds in and actually start to, just basically get comfortable in a ring again. He hasn't been in a professional ring in 13 months, so he just needs to get more comfortable. So I do think he's gonna want to get the rounds in. He's not gonna just completely turn it on straight away, and vice versa. Szeremeta isn't gonna want to tire himself out either. So I do think the first few rounds they're gonna kind of just feel each other out, and it's probably gonna be quite even. But I think as the fight progresses, I think Eubank's just gonna keep upping the tempo. Of course, Eubank Jr.'s work rate has always been absolutely fantastic. Like, out of most boxers in the world, I've always felt that Eubank Jr. has one of the best work rates. He just constantly ups it, and it just feels like he gets less tired as the fight goes on. He's got a phenomenal gas tank. We've seen his absolutely brutal cardio training, and it all pays off because Eubank Jr. has a fantastic gas tank, and he tends to really turn it on as the fight goes on. So I do think for the first sort of 5 rounds, it's going to be fairly even. I do think sort of for the first 5 or 6 rounds, it's going to be quite even on the scorecards. But I think from about sort of round 7 onwards, he's just going to turn up the pressure, start to really land those combinations, his uppercuts, everything like that. And eventually he's just going to tire out Szeremeta, and we'll stop him, as I said, between rounds 9 and 12. I don't think it'll be a full-blown, he knocks him down and then Szeremeta can't beat the 10 count. I think it's going to probably be like a standing stoppage where, he hits him and backs him up against the ropes, and eventually the referee steps in and waves it off. So I don't think it'll be a knockout in the sense that he goes down and then can't get up. I think he's going to be on his feet the whole time, but I do think that he is going to be stopped and the referee's going to jump in, or maybe the corner will throw the towel in. But yeah, that's my prediction. I don't think the fight goes the distance. However, I also think it's going to be sort of a slow fight in the beginning where both kind of just look to find their feet and, just kind of exchange a few shots. But I think sort of from round 6 onwards, I think that's where the fight's going to change, and that's where Eubank Jr. is going to up the tempo, up the pace, really get those combinations going, and just do some of the brutality we know he's capable of. We know he's capable of backing opponents up. We know he's capable of knocking them out. He's certainly capable of landing damaging shots. And I think as the fight progresses, Eubank is going to look to really up that tempo. So yeah, that's how I think it's going to go. I think it's, as I said, quite slow in the beginning. Maybe until round 6 is going to be quite even, and it could really go either way. I just think from round 7 onwards, that's when it's going to change, and that's when Eubank Jr. will kind of start to activate. Basically, we'll just start to get the combinations going, get the punches landed, and essentially just really up the tempo. So yeah, that's how I think it's going to go. Of course, Szeremeta's, he's not going to be an easy fight. I don't think this is going to be easy. I do think he's going to land his shots. He's going to look to potentially rough Eubank Jr. up. Of course, Szeremeta, he's got sort of that rough kind of style where it can be hard to deal with. But I just think that Chris Eubank Jr., he's very seasoned, he's got the boxing skill, and I just don't see why he can't outbox Szeremeta, sort of land the combinations on him, tire him out. Of course, we know that Chris Eubank Jr. is really good at fighting in the pocket as well. He's very good at fighting in the pocket, landing body shots, and I think that's something else that's going to sort of, that where Szeremeta is going to come unstuck. I think it's where, because Szeremeta, as I said, he's got that sort of like more rough kind of aggressive style, and so he does tend to be caught into just fights on the inside, like maybe he'll get taunted. Of course, we know Chris Eubank Jr. is a showman. He likes to taunt his opponents, and I think that's probably something that's also gonna make Szeremeta get unstuck, is when maybe Eubank Jr. is taunting him and then he gets annoyed by it, tries to hit him on the inside, and then Eubank Jr. can land his combinations and then get back out. So yeah, I think this is just going to be a case of Eubank Jr. frustrating him, tiring him out, and eventually finishing him off late. Of course, Szeremeta is certainly not going to be easy. He's going to be a challenge. He's going to be landing the hard shots. He's going to be backing him up. He's going to be sort of roughing him up a bit. So this won't necessarily be an easy fight. And of course, I'm also taking into account that Eubank Jr. hasn't fought for 13 months. But I just think Eubank Jr. has the quality and he's got the ability to make this a pretty good display. But at the same time, because of the fact that he's going to want to get his rounds in, I think he's probably, he's not going to start too quickly. He's probably going to just sort of ease his way into the fight, maybe, play to the audience a bit. But I do think in the end that Eubank Jr. will win this fight, and it will be a TKO between rounds 9 and 12. So yeah, let me know if you guys agree with that. Let me know who you think is going to win. Let me know if you think Szeremeta is going to win. Let me know if you also think that Eubank's going to win, but maybe not by knockout, because of course that's possible. But yeah, so to conclude, I think that Eubank Jr. is going to stop Szeremeta on his feet, and it's going to be between rounds 9 to 12. And the main reasons for that are just because, he's got the boxing ability. I do think he's the better technical boxer. And also, as we can tell from the knockout ratio, he's got more power. So he'll be able to use that power, tire Szeremeta out. But by the same token, Szeremeta is certainly tough. He's certainly going to, he's not easy to crack. So for that reason, I think it's going to be a standing stoppage. Like, it's either going to be the referee waves it off or the corner throws the towel in. I don't think it'll be a case of him getting knocked out. And of course, we do know that Szeremeta is a warrior and he's taken beatings in the ring before and managed to get through them. But yeah, that's my prediction. Chris Eubank Jr. to win the fight by stoppage between rounds 9 and 12. It's going to start slow. I think Szeremeta might even potentially be winning in the first 6 rounds. But I think after the first 6 rounds, Eubank Jr. is just going to completely turn it up, completely look to get him out of there, and eventually stop him between rounds 9 and 12. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this podcast. I really appreciate all the support recently. As always, if you want to follow the TikTok or the X page, I've got them both on the screen, and massive thank you to you guys for the support on those as well. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you all for watching this podcast. Let me know who you think is going to win Eubank Jr. versus Szeremeta. Let me know who you also think is going to win Beterbiev and Bivol. If you want to see my prediction, do check out the podcast that I did a few days ago covering that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. The next podcast will likely be an Arsenal podcast because obviously I still want to keep up the Arsenal content during the international break. So probably on Saturday I'm going to look to kind of just do sort of an overview of how I feel Arsenal's season's gone so far, how we've started it, etc. Just kind of a general overview, and that's probably something I'm going to do like at each international break, is kind of just summarize how everything's going. But yeah, look forward to that on Saturday in my next Arsenal video. Thank you also for the support on the international videos I've been doing as well about England and Romania. Obviously they're the two teams that I support, so thanks for the support on those. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Let me know who you think is going to win the next fight, and I'll catch you guys with another podcast soon. Bye bye.